This video is all about bathroom electrical. We're talking plugs, switches, GFCI, floor heat, thermostats, towel warmers, fans, heated mirrors, the whole gamut. If it has to do with putting electrical in a bathroom, this video covers all of these finishes. Now, just a quick note, if you haven't seen part 1 of this series, which was doing the rough-in for all of the electrical, then I'm going to suggest you just click the card that's showing right up here in the corner. Watch that video first, okay, and then come back to this, because you're going to want to know all the nuances about how to run your wiring before you worry about how to put it all back together again when you're done. So, if you're joining us for the rest of the video, that's awesome. We're just going to go through a quick tutorial here on how to finish off all your wiring. We've got a lot of really interesting things to cover here, so hopefully this is useful. One of the most amazing DIY jobs that you can do in your house is electrical. One of the reasons for it is you hardly need any tools, right? It's not a huge investment to do your electrical. All you have to do is have a little bit of basic knowledge and get a permit, okay? Get your work inspected so you can sleep at night and keep your insurance down, make sure you're protected. But all you really need is a couple of drills, different drill bits, knife, tape, some barrettes, all right? And one of these. If you work on power that exists, this is important. You need to know if you got your breaker off or not. This is a proximity tester. It tells you if there's live power in the box. If you're working like us, we don't have any power to anything yet, so it's not an issue. But you also need this. You need some wire strippers, and you need some square end pliers. Now this is from Crescent Tools. I love this little wrench. It was a gift they gave me. They handed me a few other tools. We helped them out for a Father's Day video, and I absolutely love this. It's like butterfly electrical. Anyway, great little tool. So it's nice because you only have to have a couple of tools in your pouch. Now, we are going to start off with covering the floor system because I have an inspection coming tomorrow, and he's going to want to see that this wire is run up to my thermostat box. Now, because he's already done the rough-in inspection, he doesn't need to see this box. He just needs to see that this cable is installed in the floor properly before I can cover it up. So, in order to do that, I need a hammer. Here we go. Now, when I'm doing my rough-in, you'll notice that in the other video, I took a piece of ground wire from my 14-2 and I left it in as a pull wire. Because you want to pull this wire up to the switch. And that's all you need. Just a little hole. This is a great time to get messy, right? Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to use our electrical tape and we're going to connect the end of the wire that goes into the box with our copper wire here. And I'm going to pull that staple out of the way now that I was using to hold it in place so that it didn't disappear in the project. And now I am going to simply tape all of this together so that I can pull it all up through the wall. Now this is an empty wall cavity, so there really isn't any risk of this coming apart. So when you tape it, you really just want to make sure that you're keeping everything from pulling apart. All right? You don't want to tape it so well that you can't get the tape off. So leave spaces. Okay? Don't tape over your tape. You'll never get it off. All right? There we go. Now, in the box, I also have it screwed into the back of the box, so I want to undo the screw and take this ground wire off and make sure you keep it like that so it doesn't fall out by accident. All right, now this is a process. You want to push and pull at the same time. And there we go. Why is that causing me grief? If you pull out the brace area, and this is just to hold the wires in the back of the box so they aren't loose, you can remove that temporarily. Here we are. That's what's the problem. My wire got snagged on something, and so the tip came off. Okay. Now, again, very important, you don't want this all kinking up on you. Get all that out. There we go. All right. Next thing we do is we take off the tape. This is easy if you didn't tape over your tape. Okay? And we have a few fancy stickers on here, okay? And this is for the electrical inspector. A, is it ULC listed? Is it the right voltage? Okay, it has all that information on it. So he's gonna probably wanna see that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 pictures. One is of the picture of that unique tile back wall with the wire sticking out, and the other one is the detailed information on the wire. Now when he comes to do his inspection tomorrow, I'll be able to just show him the picture of what I did, and he won't need me to open up the wall, so I can get this finished now. There are things that you can do when you're working with your inspectors that can really make your life easy. Always ask first before you do things like that. We had a conversation with him on site. He's fine with taking pictures of certain pieces of information. Why is that not working? There we go. Okay, always use your wire strippers. It has the gauges listed here. We're using 14 gauge, so you match it up, and that actually cuts the cover, and then you can pull off the wire without damaging the copper. Very important. Now, we have got our thermostat right here. Yay. Uh-oh, rookie mistake. I forgot my sensor in the floor. So here's what we gotta do now. Take 2 quick seconds, and I'm going to run my fish line right back down the wall so that I can connect my sensor and bring that up at the same time as this. Dumb, 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 Jeffrey. Well, we'll do this again for the first time. This wire is crucial because the thermostat operates in more than one different capacity. It'll operate based on the temperature of the floor or the temperature of the room. I want to make it work on the temperature of the floor since it's a warming system. So, I really need to make sure that it's installed correctly in the floor pad, and it needs to come up to the thermostat in order for the thermostat to work properly. You cannot bypass this step. Same thing. Make it easy to pull off again when you're done. And up we go. Okay, all right, now we got both of our wires, we're ready to go. Yes, now I have to take another picture because the picture will have the thermostat in it, which is going to be brutally important for him to see. If I can do that quickly before I run out of power, done. Now we're ready to go. So all these stickers are actually really quite in the way. All right, we gotta get rid of them all. We need a little more cable available here. Ground wire, this cabling right here, supposed to be connected with our bare copper wire here, okay? And because of the nature of what's going on here, we're gonna need a little bit more room to maneuver. Exposing all these wires so we have a little bit better maneuverability. There we go. Okay. Now, before I go any further, I'm gonna put this back on and lock all of my wires that I brought up into that box in place so they don't accidentally fall into the wall cavity. All right, so step number 1 was to take this and attach it to the copper. Now this copper is actually on the screw. It's on the back of this metal box. So we're in great shape here for having positive ground contact. And we're gonna make that contact right there. And we're gonna get that one folded right into the back of the box. Even though this is an extra deep box, which is necessary for thermostats and that sort of thing, I'm going to do my best to get this cable and moret right to the very back. Here we go. That will do a lot better job. So you can see the ground wire coming from the power to the moret connected to the cabling on that. And we are just pushing it back as far as we can here, getting it right to the back of that box. Now I'm going to tighten up the supply lines, which creates another problem because now I've got to twist both my morets here. Not the end of the world though, because this box has got lots of depth. Okay, so we have a problem here. I was just looking at this lovely little unit here and I peeled the sticker and I realize it's got to be installed horizontally. My box is vertical. Now, in all the years I've been doing this is the first time I've seen a horizontal box. Big surprise, they're always changing things. And it's huge. Like, even though that's an extra deep box and that's code for thermostats for heated flooring, this unit is just too large. So I'm looking at the instructions here, and it's calling for a 4x4 inch box with a cover plate on it designed for this kind of application. And then the drywall. Which means I've got to open up the wall, change out the box, run the wiring back to the box, then close the wall, patch and repair, paint, and then come back to the thermostat. We're going to install a warming pad for the back of our mirror. It's a product I don't think you see too often, but it's so efficient and it costs pennies. So it's a really nice feature in a bathroom where you've got a shower, especially in a household where they're busy, you know, getting more than one shower every morning, and people are trying to use the same room to get ready for school or work. Basically, all you do is you put a hole in the wall, and you have this little feeder that we wired in advance. And we're just going to tape that together with my electrical tape. We're just going to put a little bit of tape on here and feed this up. There we go. Okay. You can't have anything catching when you're using a grommet. There we go. Okay, now this is the back of it, and this is a peel and stick. So the idea is we'll attach it to the mirror, and then we'll put it in. So we don't want to have that much length going on. We're just going to leave it hanging like that until it's time for the mirror install. Nice and simple. Instead of fussing around with that wire, let's get that out of here. There we are. There we go. There we go. And we're just going to find the right gauge. This is more like a 16. There we go. Now, this box here has a single source of power to it. And it's not on a run, it's not continuing on. But I'm supplying power to two different things. So what I want to do is I want to put the black on with another black and the power to the mirror all at the same time so that I still have an available black to connect my light fixture to when it comes time. All right, so, and I have the same problem with the white, so we're going to just rescue a couple pieces of wire from some cable and cut about an inch off each end. And then we'll also strip off about an inch on each of these. And just a little twist is all it takes to make sure that the sheathing is cut. Right? Now, we're going to switch our tool back around to our square end pliers again. Now there's no black or white with this fixture, so that's fine. It's got a bit of fiber cable. We'll just twist all those together so it acts more like a wire. I'm going to take these two black lines first, twist them together a couple of times. There we go. Then we're going to add our fiber wire. And then give it another twist. And then trim the end off so that the Mret isn't locking on one wire only. There we go. Now I'm connecting power from the box to the mirror defogger, and I still have an available black wire for my light fixture. All right. We'll do the same with the neutral. And we'll twist those wires and wire that on. Now this process works exactly the same for putting multiple fixtures together. There we go. I like that better. Always make sure your Merets are twisted nice and tight so you don't run the risk of vibration over time, causing them to untwist themselves. There we go. Now we're ready for that. Okay. Whew. We aren't going to put the light fixture on until after the grout is completely dry and has been buffed and then siliconed. So we'll probably do that one tomorrow. We're going to install the pot light now in the shower. And when I say pot light, I mean one. If you've watched the video leading into this, you know that we wired for two. Originally, we were going to go with a recessed wall function shower, very traditional system that's in behind the tile. And that would have left us with two lights in the shower. It would have been nice and pretty. Somewhere along the lines, we got this idea to put this beast on, which is great. I'm not discounting that, but I can't install a light above this anymore. Just cast nothing but a shadow. That'll look stupid. So now I've got to put a hole in my ceiling, basically in the center of the room, and reach in both directions and find the wire that arrives to this one and leaves from that one so I can reconnect that circuit again. This is why I preach when you're putting in wiring for the lights, put lots of extra loop on, because then you have flexibility. You never know what's going to happen. Design changes are a thing of life. My map is now useless. Okay, let's get to work. We need to find the center of the shower. Oy, oy, oy. That's a 31. I think aesthetically, my best plan is to try to go center of the shower pan and not even bring the equation of the recessed area there into it, because I have a door system here that's got a center line with hinges. I got a center drain. This grout line is not on center, so there's nothing I'm going to do here that's going to win. There. Center and 18. That's my center mark. I'm using these Max lights. They're available on Amazon. You can check out our Amazon store. Links in the description below. They work great. They're handy as all get out. They have this box here, right? So your wiring is done in this box. The box can be slid up through the hole after the fact, and then you snap your light in onto the drywall. They're great for really bad spaces where you don't have a lot of clearance. And they're also awesome for new construction, which is what this is. All right, lots and lots of packaging. Now, in the instructions or on the box, they provide you a template that you can cut out, okay? Which is stupid, because the hole that comes on the box is exactly the right size. And that's my template. All right, because I mapped this out earlier, I'm pretty sure that the strapping is off center here, but I'm going to just put this up against the ceiling and I'm going to start cutting towards where I think the strapping is. And that way I'll be able to determine where the end of my light fixture hole can be, readjust my template if necessary, and then cut the hole. All right, let's see if we get lucky. Okay, so at least we didn't hit wood yet. Let's just do this now. Actually, here, I'll go this way so that you can see what I'm doing. And when you're working on a finished ceiling, you only want to cut in the upwards direction. Don't pull down as well. These teeth are designed that they'll catch the drywall and snag it off the screws. It'll actually cause damage to your ceiling. That's actually a really good spot for me. Well, we got lucky. Right on. Okay. Now I'm just going to trace my circle with a pencil and then cut it out. Wow. That's the first time something went right today. The only thing that we have left to worry about is whether or not I can reach all those wires. And this is not about speed, it's about cutting precise. The fixtures themselves only have a 1/4 inch of extra mercy on them on the lip. So if you're cutting down, you can grab the drywall and tear the paper, and then you're right back to patching and painting again. All right, let's see if we can get up in here, over to where that wiring is. Oh, thank God. Oh, happy day. I got them both. This one is, I believe, not the one I want. That's right down there. I just can't reach over far enough. Let me see if this works. Well, we might just get lucky here. Let's see where that's coming from. Yeah. Coat hanger, gotta love it. And just because it's possible doesn't mean it's fun. But at least we got it done. When we're installing these, we need to use the electrical grommet off the side. Okay? So you have to open up the trap door. Take a look at your space that's available. It's pretty tiny. This is one situation where I actually suggest using the tiny little orange morettes, because using 3 morettes in here of the big blued variety is a little bit much for that space to handle. I'm going to show you. You stick your screwdriver in the end of this, okay, and you just wiggle it up and down. And that tab starts to break. All right? And you can twist it out. And it won't damage the box. If you try hammering that out, it'll all get dented and go to garbage. Snap that in place just by pinching it, compressing it, make it small, and bam. Now we have a grommet. You'd think that these wires might be too short for wiring something together, but the truth is, you want the sheathing on the wire to pass through just inside the box, okay? And you don't want to have them any longer than the box, because there's not enough room to bring them in and fold them over. It just gets too busy. So having them short actually is your benefit here. You take the wire, make sure that they're all stripped. Once your wires are all stripped, put your ends together where the sheathing is. And just a little tip, if you take a little bit of electrical tape here and tape these 2 wires together, it'll make it a lot easier when it comes time to feed it into that grommet. All right, and here's what I'm talking about. You gotta stick all of these wires in here. Now if you put the grommet on first with 2 wires, you're gonna have a doozy of a time trying to squeeze all that in there, because you can't compress the grommet to get through the hole. Now, here we are. And as we're going in, we'll just pull the wires forward, and then there's the sheathing. We're gonna stop right there. That's perfect. So now we can isolate wires by color and tie them all together. Now we're going to just twist our wires together. There we are. Now they're all twisted together. Because these wires are all more of a filament, we'll wrap it around the twisted wire. Okay, and then apply them right. We'll just lay them in the box. Should have trimmed the edge of that first. Make sure both the ends of the wires are the same length. There we go. That's better. Here we go. Now in this case, I have a little bit of wire exposed on the 1 copper line. Because this is a close quarter box, I am going to tape that joint to make sure that there's no contact with that ground wire when I squeeze it all in the box. I know some guys do that on a regular basis just as part of their regular practice, and it's not a terrible idea. Yeah, same thing here. My blue morettes are actually a little bit longer, so they always cover when I cut that much wire. There we go. Yeah, we got all of the wires in the box. Good. Now we'll put our cover plate on over the screw hole, and then it slides underneath. Okay. Make sure you tighten this on when you're done. If there ever is any spark action that happens, it's so contained, it'll stop it from becoming a problem. And then it's just about getting it back up inside the space. All right. Done. And yes, I'm actually going to wire the fan today. I'm working on my own house, on my own electrical permit, so I'm completely within my legal rights to be able to do this. Love living in Ontario. I imagine some of you folks from California will have to hire an electrician for this. All right, now all we have to do is connect our wiring harness to our wires. So you need your wire strippers. Love these. There's different ones. I have a nice set that are pretty handy from Crescent Wrench, people. And on one side it's a square and plier, on the other side it's a wire stripper. I keep that in my toolbox all the time, just in case I get myself in a situation where I need them. So a 14-2 wire has 3 wires. The ground, which is not part of the 2 equation, there's a 14 gauge white and a 14 gauge black. That's why it's called 14-2. Every wire has a ground, whether it's got a red and a white and a black or just a white and a black. Okay, so that's not part of the equation. This is a 14-2, standard house wiring. And this wire here is actually too short. So I'm going to take my wire strippers and I'm going to strip. This is more of a 10 gauge, much smaller. We're just going to take the casing off. You can see these strippers are awesome. They have the different gauge wire numbers on them, okay? 10 gauge, sorry, this is a 16. The bigger the number, the smaller the wire, right? And I like to have almost an inch of wire, seems to be perfect, because I'm using these blue twisted morettes, okay? These will twist just about any 2 wires in the world together. They're awesome. And generally speaking, I've got a fixed copper and then this kind of multi-strand filament wire. Just give it a little twist, hold it in place, and then let this moret do all the work. Inside the moret, there's a little coil, okay? And it helps to encourage the wires to twist together properly. All right, you do it the same with the white and the ground. All right, just a little twist, just to hold it in place. Stick that moret on there. All right, here we go. Now this is all new construction. We haven't even put power to any of these lines yet. If you're doing a reinstallation of a fan, then make sure you turn off the breaker. Always safer than sorry. Here we go. One of the keys you want to make sure of when you're doing this at home is make sure that when you look at the moret, okay, you don't see any of the copper wire from the white or the black showing, okay? Because if either of those come in contact with this ground wire, which is not, it doesn't have a sheathing on it, you're going to have it blow up on you. Now, it'll just short out the circuit. It's not going to start a fire and take down your house, but it is awfully irritating to have the power go off. So we take this housing and we're going to slide this up. There's a tab on each side here that this needs to go into. There we go. And on the bottom there's a tab, and you just push that up until it snaps in the hole. That's installed. There's no screws. That one's all finished now. Now right here on my fan, it says it's 110 CFM, which is cubic feet per minute, which is 110 cubic feet per minute. It's going to be sucked out of here. So after the course of 5 minutes, pretty much every 3-piece bathroom in the world has had all of the air evacuated. All the moisture is gone. This is why these work so darn well. It's one zone, which means it's extremely quiet. And it just slides up into place. Right? There we go. It snaps into place. Woohoo! It also has in the package 3 more of these little set screws with the lovely Phillips bit. And you set these, one on each side of this little flange. You'll see it better on this shot here. There's a little set screw area here. That's just to make sure that the fan won't accidentally slide out of its housing over time. Wow, that is awesome. And this is a humidity sensor, okay? Right? And this is the way you plug it into power. Done and done. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to install an awesome bathroom appliance called the electric heated towel rack. These bad boys look beautiful and function amazing, so they warm your towels when you're coming out of the bathroom. Now, when it comes to installing one of these, there's really only a couple things you need to know. A, you got to get power to it. I prefer to run a line right from my light switch or my fan switch, depending which has more room, and bring it right over to this box. Now, when it comes to location of your box, I find the easiest way to do it is figure out where on your wall you want this before you put your drywall up, And then make sure there's a stud on the one side, but on the power side, you want to make sure that you measure over to the center of your box, mount it on a bracing in between the studs. It's good to go. Now, if you want to see that happen in depth, we have that information in our how to do electrical video for a bathroom. We'll put the link in the description below. Basically, you're bringing power from your supply line, which is at your light switch, bring it over to this location. There's no on or off switch with this product. It just works with the switch. So if you put it on live power when you walk in the room with your lights or your fan, you're good to go. Now for ease of application, this product comes with a ton of extra wire. And if you want, you can try to hook it up sitting on the floor, and then you can try to stick all of this wire in the box. Or you can do what I do. Just set the garbage can in the room, give myself a little bit of slack, and then cut the extra out of the way. And there we go, problem solved. Now that box has got lots of room. Now this little tool that I have here is also a wire stripper, so I'm just going to find the right gauge for the wire and strip the sheathing off. And then it's all prepped and ready to roll. The only other thing we got to do, and I can do this right here right now because I have not powered up the circuit. I ran a new circuit for this bathroom, so I know I'm good to go. If you're not sure if you're going to zap yourself, you can grab one of these bad boys. Turn the light on, make sure it's green. If there's live power there, it'll blink and go red. That'll be like, don't touch this, go turn off the breaker first. And then once that's good, we're in business. La-da-da. Now, before we can make our connections, we have to establish the location for all of the mounts. Now on the back of this, you'll see every one of these legs here has a mounting pin that goes into the wall and a set screw to tighten it on. So it's important to get all these locations just perfect. So the process for that is not outlined in the paperwork that comes with the product, oddly enough. Now, in the box with the product comes this beautiful decorative plate. These screws on this plate are lined up with the mounting locations on the box. Okay, and that is going to be our primary location. We're going to go install the rest of this based off of that. In this kit comes 3 little caps. They kind of resemble a flared thimble. All right, and it passes in that hole. Lots of room to go maneuver, but then the set screw is what tightens it all up. So there's a little bit of mercy involved here, and this one also has a thimble on it as well. Same thing. All right, and they get attached with the wood screws that come in there in the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to just shove all of the wire in through the hole so that we can temporarily mount the unit on this one location. Then we're going to take out a torpedo level and put everything where it belongs. Okay, here we go. Now, even though this is magnetic, because it's chrome, it's not going to stick to it. So you have to be somewhat careful here. I always prefer to trust my level and not my eyesight. There we go, that's my spot. Whew. Now you'll notice if you watch the video where we ran the wire, I know there's a stud right behind these two because I based this location off of that stud. But what I don't know is where I should put that thimble. And so we're going to just use our pencil here and we're going to make a few marks around the base location where they contact the wall. And I'm going to guarantee you that if you finish your paint job before you do this, you're going to need to do some touch-ups. So don't be disappointed. It's going to happen no matter what you do. All right, now we get all this out of the way. And now we can mount all of our brackets. You love Phillips, eh? I hate Phillips. I hate it so much. And that's why. Okay, we're going to take our thimble now. We're going to reverse it, put the fat side against the wall, center it on your pencil marks. Take your screw, pass it straight in, puncture that drywall. Wow, that was a lousy shot, eh? Even I know that wasn't the middle. Okay. It's just a matter of screwing these on and we're good to go. Love them Phillips screws. last one. This is where good planning works out, right? Beautiful. That's going to work amazing. Now, there's still two things that we have to do. Oh-ho! Now for mounting, of course, they give you the most delicate of set screws. Here we go. So we're going to back these out just a little bit. And don't worry if you lose one. Standard practice now is for these companies to put extra ones in the package. But before you start, make sure you empty out the package hardware, get it on a counter somewhere. Take your inventory. There we go. Now we got a location set. We have to run our wire through our plate. So we have one solid wire and one of these little fiber wires. We're going to just thread it, twist it around there a few times. Okay, and we're going to use our little blue Moret cap. Twist it on nice and tight so that it can't jiggle loose over time. We'll do that with all three of these. Connect white to white, black to black, ground to ground. Now ground has got this green and yellow on it. You can't miss it. Right. No sense having extra wire on there. When you're done, you shouldn't see any exposed wire beneath the Moret cap. That's just one way that you can be confident to know that when you tuck this into the box, it's not going to make contact with any other exposed wire in there, like the ground wire. Right? You don't want anything else to be in touch with that ground wire. Fold everything over, push them as deep as the box as you can. Make sure you have room. Pre-twisting your wires is a genius way to make sure that they're going to get good connection. It gives you the ability to twist it and then pinch beneath there so that nothing's moving around while you turn this on. All right, let's just get this one in here now. Okay. It's going to be a lot easier to put this on and then feed the wire in than to try to attach it to the bar and then try to stick it on. Simply because these screws are not going to be accessible once that bar is hanging there. Okay, always good to make sure your screws are on with your hands first. Get a couple of turns so you know they're not threaded. The drills are powerful enough to drive them in there and rethread it and strip it all. Okay, here we go. Now just like we did when we set it up to begin with, we are going to feed all this wire inside that box. Oh, it's getting a little stiff. It's a good thing we cut off almost half of it before we started. Okay. Now, here we go. That's all finished. The only thing left to do is to tighten up these little set screws. So we'll start up here. Okay. Before I put any more on, I want to double check my level and put pressure down. Well, because when I tighten that set screw, it drives it down. And that is still perfect. So all I have to do now is keep a little bit of pressure applied on this while I'm tightening these up. Make sure they're tightening up as close to the wall as possible. This is all about patience. Sometimes this little fiddling around will drive a person crazy, but if you're patient, you won't cause too much damage to the wall you're working on. If you try to do it this way, the bottom of this almost always scratches out the wall. Okay. Now we have it attached to the wall basically, but we still want to attach the power to the switch. So stay with us for that, and we'll show you how to wire the switch up as well. If you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit your notification bell so you see every time we put up a video. You get notified and be able to see that. In this package, they came with these cheesy little plastic plugs. And to be honest with you, if you're trying to fish a wire up to a place in a wall and you want to mount a box, you're going to cause damage to your wall to get that done. If you're not going to be on wood and you want to try to install this with plastic, I'm going to suggest don't. Take the time, cut the hole in the drywall, get some blocking in the wall, and don't ever use these. Because you know what happens? Someone will put a towel on here, they'll lean out of the shower, grab the towel, and give it a yank, and the whole damn thing is going to come flying off the wall. If you don't install it in wood, just don't install it. So here's the part where we're going to put our switch together for our towel heater and also the fan at the same time. So this is really simple. In my video, I showed you I like to bring my power to the top left corner. I also take my black marker and I mark the inside of the box, right? So I know that's for lights. That one's lights. I know that that one is for my fan and that one's for my towel warmer. Now, the interesting thing here is when you're dealing with switches, you take the power in and then the power out. So there's two black wires going on there, that's it, all right? That's the best way to go. Now because I got two wires leaving, I actually have to tie them together with a Marette before I put this in. So let's get that done first. Okay, so I'm gonna need an extra piece of black wire. And we're just gonna get our knife and strip our cable here. All right. I'm going to strip both ends. What I need is to put these two wires together with my square end plier. Okay. And then add this as my tail. So I'm going to twist all three of these wires together. Nice and tight like this. Okay, so there's no risk of them coming loose over time. Then we're going to take a blue Marette. We're going to thread it over top. There we go. Make sure no copper is showing and we're good. Okay, now we're going to feed that into the box, right to the very back. Okay, now there's my power to my fixtures. I got power to my light. That one's actually really kind of short. I don't like that being that short. You remember when I run my wire, generally speaking, I leave myself a little bit of extra play in the wall for just such an event. That's much better. Cut the extra sheeting off there. Now, in order for me to wire just one part of this box, I've got to wire the whole box at the same time. Let's just talk about how to do that. Now, the same concept of using that Marette, so I have one feed bringing the power from the switch to both fixtures. I have one power supply to this box, and I want to bring it to two different boxes. So in order to do that, I've got to do pretty much the same thing. I have to add a couple more lines to this power supply so I can feed each box individually. You know, in the old days, electricians used to strip two spots on the same wire and then just scrape off the inside wire, and they'd go around one box and then run it over and around the other box. It was a little bit sketchy, and it worked. But nowadays, we don't do that anymore. Largely because when people try to change their own fixtures, they end up causing shorts and electric damage because they're not familiar with that situation. Now we're going to take our power feed. We're going to twist these together a little bit. We're going to add it to the power feed now. Twist all three of these wires together. There we go. Nice and tight. Then we're going to use a side cutter, trim the end, get them red on there. And in fact, what we've done is we've taken one power feed, now turned it into two. Okay. Let me just get that pushed back to the back of the box. All right, so now I've got two power feeds. All right, so I can connect one box there and one box here. The only other thing that has to happen is all of these neutrals have to be connected so that we have a continuous circuit for every one of the functions. Okay, so we're going to do this one at a time. Give that a bit of a twist. Then we'll add a third. Okay, twist all these bad boys together. Again, trim that end a little bit. In the world of electrical, everything has a code. And it turns out that when you're putting four wires together, you can't use those blues. You need to use one of these great big fat red ones, okay? So throw that bad boy on there. Keep all of those neutral wires together so nothing's coming loose. And then you just fold them into the back of the box like an S, and then push it all back in there. Make sure there's lots of room for your switches. Okay, I might add, the reason there's a ground screw on this, so sometimes people will be installing these plastic boxes that don't have a ground bar on the back, so you have to run your wire direct to the switch. But here we're using metal, and everything here is already grounded. So, typical light switch. The bottom is off. When you click the top, it makes the power go through. And these are actually labeled top. So the power feed comes through the bottom. And then the wire that goes to the fixtures comes out of the top. Now there's two ways to do this. I don't even want to show the other way. I like to just take my ends and curl my wires to wrap it around the screws. But now I had an electrician, I asked him about this one day. He got all upset because there are a lot of guys out there that are doing this. On the back of your switches, they have these holes. You can actually stick your wire inside there and it makes a positive connection. And there are a lot of people that are using that as their connection system. And the reason he doesn't like it is because they pull and they don't give you a perfect connection. So what he suggested is that for the amount of time that it takes, wrap your wire around your screw, right? Pinch the ends together and then tighten it on. This gives you a positive connection. It also gives you the ability to make changes over time. Okay? Tighten that up. And you'll see there's a spot in here, there's like a cradle for the wire to sit in. One last thing you can do is you can cover all of your exposed wires and screws with electrical tape before you put them in the box. Now this can be real handy, especially if you're a homeowner, because if you have to troubleshoot or just open this up ever in the future to change it, you're not going to cause any contact with the screws in the metal box and you're never going to spark out. Okay, there we go. All we have to do now is mount this in the box and we're good as gold. There we are. Okay, so we're going to install a dimmer switch here real quick for all of our lights. That's all the pots, the shower, and for the fixture that's on the wall. They're all coming together and running off of this one circuit right here. This is our power in. And one thing you need to know is if you're going to put more than one switch in a box, all these little tabs that come on a dimmer switch like this need to be broken off because they will be in the way. So just grab it with your plier and give it some wiggle and they'll just break right off like that. That is going to save you a lot of grief trying to sort out what's going on with your box later on. Now, we always install it so that it's up there and then this is your power slide control. Okay, it also comes with an extra red wire that has tape on it. This is for three-way switch installations. So you can use this at the bottom or top of the stair and still have dimmer control. But since we're in the bathroom, we won't be using it. We also won't be touching it. We're just going to leave it curled up in the box and we're not going to use it. Now, the green wire itself, I like to take it and strip off a little bit more cable. Twist the wires together and then get it right into the back of the box on the ground screw. Okay, and as a rule, you take the black and you put them together. And again, they bring you such a small amount of cutaway cabling. Okay, here we go. And I like to twist them together. And I like to physically twist it over top of my power supply. Okay? And then take my pliers, cut off the extra before I put on my Muret. That way I know it's twisted, I'm holding them together. That makes for perfect connection every time. Beautiful. And then the red goes to the feeding the fixture. Okay? Doing it like this will make sure that you have positive contact. You're not going to have lights flickering because the wires are starting to come undone. If all you do is stick them beside each other and put a Muret on, you run the risk of having that kind of problem over time. That was easy. Now we gotta do is screw everything in back in the box. So before we put everything back and tighten it up, let's get all of our wires back inside the box. The secret here is to give them all a nice bend, curling S shape so that they all fit right in the back of the box without any difficulties. I'm going to show you a trick for installing the cover plate in just 1 second. Now, if you put everything to the far left when you install it, and you leave these screws just a little bit undone. Like, I mean, just a hair. Then when you go to put your wall switch plate on, it works every time. Now you can have a little bit of flexibility to slide the switch back and forth as is needed. Now, these are not always convenient. Holy crap, what is the deal with that, Max? So I just spent like the last 3 minutes trying to put the screw in, drive myself crazy. So I decided to check, and this is why. The screw that came in the package had no threads. I love the fact that everything's made in China nowadays. Unbelievable. Always good to have spare parts laying around, folks. All right. Life is not supposed to be that difficult. And here we are. Got a new box. It's big enough to carry all those huge cables, and I've got a new trim. Now, this is a little bit different. This fits the 4-inch box, sorry. And let me just confirm with my thermostat. If I was to install a finished box like this, then this is recessed, so it'll stick into my drywall. And I've got to do a lot of carving, okay? I'd have to actually repair the drywall and carve the backside to make room for all of that. So the secret here is when you install this in the box, so you can tighten the screws, you'll see that the cutout here for where the thermostat goes in is actually in a raised panel section. Now, you can see the profile. Now, I don't want to install the drywall flush to the box like traditionally. So don't get ahead of yourself and go and stick this in and screw it flush with the wood and then add this. Because then you're going to have to cut out all that drywall. And all the area around the thermostat, which is going in horizontally, will become very, very brittle. And with any movement at all, you'll end up with cracks and damage and you have to do repairs. So what you do is you take your thermostat and you put it in the box, okay? And you've got this huge amount of space here that you can go up into like that, all right? And that represents the 1/2 inch of drywall. Now on the bottom of the thermostat, they have this plastic stop, okay? And this is in line with the finishing of the drywall. So let's just go through this again. When I open the wall, I've got a box that's 2 1/4. I've got this metal thing here that's another, well, I'd say 3/8, almost a half. But from the back of the box up until the back of this, which rests up against the drywall, I'm only at 3 inches. So if I install this anywhere in that drywall, I've got flexibility. So you're better off to install this box recessed on the stud so that the front of this is flush with the stud. All right, so I know that was a lot of talking for nothing. I think I'll just end up showing you how to install this bad boy. So before I do anything, I've got to do the 2 punch outs and get these grommets installed. One's for the power supply, one is for the thermostat and the cable going to the floor. Okay, and we'll just take this and then twist. Now these got to be a little bit gentle because they can be bust out in the interior of this ring for 1/2 inch or on the outside diameter for 3/4. And we're using 1/2 inch grommets, so we got to be sure not to disrupt the rest of that ring. There we go. Okay, so now our electrical is established. We have screw holes here to mount it to the box. Now we got to cut this hole So this box is a little bit bigger than the hole that we have now. We're going to be coming back with a new piece of drywall. So we are not concerned with the size of our hole. So let's just be a little bit generous here. So it'll be easier for us to maneuver everything. And we can have a nice solid piece of drywall when we're done. If you're going to cut a hole and patch drywall, do yourself a favor and cut it bigger so that you don't have to fuss around while you're working. It's the same work to close it up if it's a small one or a big one. Whoop. There we go. Now we're all squared off. Let's release these mounting screws. All right. Very careful to hold that box to the stud. If you let go, it could fall down the wall and there's nothing to help pull it back. Oh, good news, that wire's attached from up top. That makes life a lot simpler. So now we're just going to do a quick California patch to get this area covered. Then we'll rotozip out the hole. We're going to use a quick mud hardener mixed with some salt so it'll dry incredibly fast. So hopefully in another 10 minutes we'll be able to install this fixture. God willing. All right, here we go. California patch. Now, I'm not going to walk you through this because this is a how to do electrical video. But if you're interested in this cutting technique, we did do a video on this system so that anybody can do it. And there's a link in the description below. You can check out all the tips and tricks for patching up a hole in your drywall. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now we got our wall patched. I used a fast drying hardener and sprinkled in some love, a little bit of salt on there to help speed up the chemical process. X marks the spot. That's from my rotozip. Give this about 20 minutes or so to set up and get nice and hard. We'll come back, cut this out and finish. In the meantime, we're doing the whole bathroom, so we're gonna move on and we'll do the vanity light. So what I've got here is looks like I've got the wire from our heated mirror part of the video. That's coming up. I've got the power supply coming up, and that's right here. That's good. And then I've got these two tails I set up. Now this is black and white that goes to the light fixture. Pretty much every light fixture you're gonna ever replace in your house is gonna have a black and a white. And if it's old, it may have been bent around a lot, right? Oh, and they break off real easy. Okay, so if you're doing a new light fixture, sometimes it's better just cut the old ends off, flip over to your strippers. Let's be honest, strippers are a part of every electrician's life. There we go. Now, in this situation, our mounting box is way back on the wood like it should be. And we have drywall and we have a nice thick porcelain tile. So you will find that the mounting screws for your new fixture won't be long enough. Okay? This bracket, you want to have it sitting nice and proud out here. Okay? Because these screws here are actually coinciding with the plate, and then these little nuts here actually hold the fixture to the wall. So, knowing this, I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned from an electrician friend of mine, and that is for mounting this to the area to keep this brass flush with that tile, okay, which is key to a good installation. First thing we do is we take our little tool here, and we're going to grab the end of the ground wire, and we're going to create a little hook on it, okay? We're going to use that wire to hook the ground screw on our finished trim All right, now we want to be careful here because that's my design, that's my finish, that's a good location. Okay, so I'm going to bring it from the other way. Pinch that back together again. Okay. Then tighten the screw up. Okay, now, the other thing we want to do is we want to rescue these little end nuts from off of this here. Set them aside for later. One measurement you need is from the wall, which would be tight to this in the perfect scenario, out to the surface of the face. And that's coming out at 3/4 of an inch. When you tighten this up, it's 3/4 of an inch from the back of the stone to the face of this nut. That's the measurement we're working with. So I want to install this onto that bracket. If I install the back plate flush with the stone, I have 3/4 of an inch for my little nut to go on there. Let me just get a measurement. That takes me to 1.25 inches. Okay? Now those little nuts are not that long. So your best plan here is to recess this mounting screw. Oh, come on. It should be so much easier. All right, twist this back and then twist in the threaded rod so that you're only at 1 inch. 1 inch from the back plate. And that is 1.125 inches. And I'm going to go just a little bit more. And if we can't go any more than that, then what we know to do is recess this plate in the hole if possible. But it's just good to know how this works, because not every situation is going to be desirable to recess the plate in the hole. A lot of times you're going to want to opt for recessing the threaded rod that comes on here. Double check. 1 inch there, 1 inch there. Perfect. Okay, so here we go. Now, I have some hardware here that I brought that'll solve all my problems with mounting this light fixture in a recessed box. And that is, I went out and bought some screws. Now, what you want to do is go to the local hardware store, pick up a box of machine screws, and this is just a basic machine thread. It's a 632 by 1.5 inches. This is what you want to grab. I hate Phillips. Now, you can put this screw into the box and set the depth right where we want it, okay? But there's nothing to keep it from falling in. This is the $1 million problem that everybody has when they're doing electrical work. So we have measured from the tile to the face of the fixture to mount it. But when I'm mounting, if this is falling in on me, then I'm in a whole lot of trouble, okay? So here's what we do. Take this off. You take your Moret. This is the tip of the day, right? You put it right onto where that mounting box is, and you take a look at your depth, and it's just a hair. Like it's just 1/8 of an inch. Take your side cutters and grab a hold of that bad boy. It's not showing very well, but there is a hole, and that is what you're looking for. And this becomes your washer. So what you do is you want to take your drill bit to get rid of that metal thread part that's inside. Okay, set it on top. Use it like a nail punch. There it is. And this is the thing that's in your way. This is great for tying your wires together, but really inconvenient when you're setting this up. Come on, baby. Boy, you can get it in, but you can't get it out, eh? I'm just having a lot of fun with this, aren't I? I've never seen this be so stupid. Holy Hannah. Now it's just about rescuing my damn drill bit. Okay. So there's my screw. And here is my extension. We're going to hold this moret. And here's the advantage to making sure the power's off. There's a lot going on here, so don't try this live. There we go. And there's just enough of that screw. The other option is you can go out and buy 40 or 50 of these silly little washers and stack them all up. Having one of these morets handy is a lot easier and versatile. Now we're ready to mount our box. Okay. Okay. Now that box is completely secured, which is awesome. The only other thing you have to do now is you have to mount this level. Well, it just barely gets in here, doesn't it? Now, I need to use my torpedo level here because this will tell me what level looks like, and I don't want to trust your eyes standing on a ladder. Come on, baby. All right, now there's a set screw on the panel here. Once you've got it level, you tighten that bad boy up till you hear some resistance. Now your whole fixture will sit level if it's been manufactured square to the plate, which in a lot of cases it isn't, but this fixture seems to be of a higher quality. I shouldn't have that issue. Not a big surprise. I would love to buy everything made in North America. Any of these threaded wire, they always have too little of the exposed wire left for my liking. Now, you might be one of these guys who's like, no, I love it when there's just a little bit. But I can't stand it. I like to pre-wrap my wire just so that I can sleep easy. I hate doing things twice. Okay, so before we get started, let's release all of these here. Now, the idea behind these little clips, if you haven't seen them before, is these are designed to hold the glass shade on. All right, and what you have to do is put the shades on before you put on the light bulbs. And we're installing our fixture this way, so it's really easy to do after it's installed. But I figure I'd just save myself a step because I'll be working over my head at that point. Now, well, there's a good question for you. Maybe you can fill that out in the comments section. Do you like the light fixtures when the lights are pointing down or when they're pointing up? You know, it's an option. Especially today when you're going with LED. I know some people, you know, not the majority in my experience, but some people love it, light shining up, so it's not direct light in their face. But I've always been a proponent of having light in your face for those moments when you need to see what the heck is going on with your face. Okay, now, what we're going to do is take our ground wire. I also call it the hanging wire because I put it on that green screw, put 2 loops on that bad boy. Okay. And then I have an ability to hang my fixture. All right. And if I could just learn how to use a screwdriver, we'll be all right. We're going to tighten that up again. There we go. Nice and gentle here. Yeah, nice and gentle, eh? That's funny. All right. Now we're going to connect our wires. We'll start with the black. Oop. I should have probably hung that wire a little closer together. Give it a little twist. Hold the wires at the base. Thread on the blue. Okay, and do the same with the white one. Okay. Now, if you can, push the moret connections back inside the box. That is ideal. All right. These connections here are not in the way if you leave them where the plate is. But if you can get them back inside the box, then do that. All right, now all we have to do is get these two screws, stick through that plate, and it should be perfect because we measured. This is not the time where you want to identify how deep the screws should be and make your adjustments. Now that everything's already attached and screwed in there, it's very difficult to fool around with it. That's why I like to measure in advance and put on these little balls. Now the same thing, go backwards until you feel it click. There it is. There. Now, keep a screwdriver handy. There's always going to be a wire that's going to be a little bit of a frustration. Okay. Make sure that you're not compressing the wires against the plate to the stone or the back wall. And off you go. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Now this is my lens. It comes with a sticker on it. Make sure you remove the sticker. This will get dried on or heated up if you're using an incandescent bulb, and it'll be almost impossible to manage. You set that over top. You thread that piece on like this, going backwards until it sits in properly. And then you can go forward. Okay? If you go, it's a very aggressive thread. If you just start turning it on and try to force it in, you're going to hurt yourself. The little sticker that was on the shade mentioned that this fixture has maximum 100 watt light bulbs. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but I'm not putting 400 watts of power in front of my face. We're going to use these 60 watt LEDs because it's nicer to have a white light than it is to have a yellow light. Especially when you're using LED lights in the pot lights in the room. Nice to have the same color temperature in the bulbs all throughout your space. That's just one of those little signs that says you thought about what you were doing before you got started, right? You've seen it all before in someone's house. You'll go in and the chandelier will have a bunch of yellow lights and a bunch of white lights. Because everybody's too cheap to throw something in the garbage that's still working, even though it looks horrible. Here we go. These fixtures still have the ability to balance out, even post-install, all right? So make sure that it looks pretty. There we go, all done. My thermostat wall is dry. Let's get back to that installation now. We're finally back. We're about to cut our hole, but before we do, let's talk a little channel business here. Because if you're staying with us this long, then maybe this will interest you. So one of the things Max and I have been working so hard to do is to deliver good quality video with a lot of value for you. We think we've been achieving that. We've been experimenting a lot lately with different things, and we're getting all the feedback, and we appreciate all that. And one of the changes I need to make is I've got to stop relying on the community tab to communicate with you. For whatever reason, the YouTube community tab is incredibly ineffective and inefficient. And regardless of how many people, I don't have any clue how many people are getting notified. I'd have no information about whether you've seen the tab or read the tab, or I know nothing about our ability to engage with our audience doing that. So what we've decided is that we're going to up our game on the Instagram, all right? Our goal is to do a daily vlog on Instagram, just like a daily diary, okay? Just a quick update. Behind the scenes looks, what we're working on, things we're working on, the projects that are coming down the road, updates on all of the tour dates and everything like that. It's all gonna be on Instagram. We're gonna have a daily update for you. So before we go on with the video, and I've already checked this out, I want you to scroll down into the description of the video, and I want you to hit the Instagram link, okay? And I want you to fill out the information and become an Instagram, join us on Instagram, basically is what I'm saying. That's the place where you need to be so you can be up to date. There are going to be things coming down the pipe in the next few months that are going to blow your mind. And if you're not part of the Instagram experience, you're going to miss out on opportunities, for visits from me on your project, consultations when I'm in the neighborhood, special events and opportunities for meet and greets. All that information is going to be there, plus a bunch of extra quick little tips and tricks we're going to throw in there. And you get to see the projects we're working on so that you know what to expect coming down the road. So before we get into this, feel free to hit pause, go sign up on Instagram, come right back, and now we're back. Okay, here we go. Let's get on with cutting ourselves a hole. Now the rotozip is usually set up for when the drywall is pushed off the wall from a fixture, but here it's recessed. So I actually have to change my location of my gate, go to the maximum extension. All right. And that's it. Wow. And remember, there are still going to be 2 little holes just off the side for mounting. And you're going to want to cut the drywall away to expose those. There's the other. This seems like a very imperfect system, but as long as you know what to expect, it works just fine. Before we go ahead, let's just double check that the hole is going to be working for us once we put all of our wires in there. All right. There we go. Now that is flush up against the wall. Okay, that's perfect. Nice. So what I'm going to do, for the sake of the camera today, is I'm going to wire the rest of this box, wire up the thermostat. I'm going to half install it, okay, leave a little bit of a gap, and then I'll take the faceplate off so I can finish my mud and paint work, but then you'll know exactly what to do. All right, moving on to the thermostat installation, we have couple of screws on the bottom. And these are the kind that'll spin forever and ever and ever. The idea is to back them out. Okay, pretend it's mounted on the wall, and you can pull the bottom off and then lift it out. Okay, so same goes back with the installation. You can hook it on the top and it'll sit there like a hinge. You snap it in and then you would screw it tight. Okay, this is what we need for now. Here's our mounting screws. You have the ability to do a little bit of leveling if needed be. All right, let's read the back. Line, load, nice. So in the electrical world, a great thing to remember is that the line is the power coming in. Think of it like power lines, okay, coming to the house, and load is power going back out. And in this case, it's going to be the heat going to the floor. So on the back, it says line. We'll take those tips off. And now I know that the ones that are exposed, because I'll leave these tips on, that's my power coming in. That's my 14-2 wire there. You'll notice that this is really thick. It's a braided line, but I don't want to cut that long. I actually want to just cut this short this time. It's a little bit different. Okay. We're just going to put the wires together like that. Slide them right over, and then let the moret do all the work. And what it'll do is it'll take that braided line, it'll start to unravel it and wrap it around that hard copper coil of the other line. All right. Let's do this one now. Would be nice if that wasn't in the way. Same thing. Get that one on. And the secret here is to be pinching the wires together so they're not one sliding back. That way you get positive contact. Okay, those are done. That was easy. Now we're doing braided line to braided line. Same thing applies here. Only I want to make these braided lines just a little bit longer so I know that they engage well with that other line. There we go. Now, whenever you've got multicolored wire, your best practice is always just go black to black, and then whatever's left to whatever's left. I know that almost sounds ridiculous, but it works. There we go. And this one, and because it's braided on braided, I'm going to twist the thin braided line around the thick one. Of course, always make sure there's no copper showing underneath, and then all of that is ready to go in, except we have one more line, which is the sensor line. And these wires are incredibly tiny, and they come with the sheathing already missing, which is very important. And they're designed to go right here and here. On the back, it even shows a little diagram, sensor 1 and 2. There's a third screw, and that's in case you're doing a combination of heated flooring systems. You can actually put one thermostat here and then put another cable from this one to the next thermostat. Awesome. There's no science as to which one goes where. It doesn't matter. The secret is to get them both in that little hole and not to go too deep, because if you put the sheathing in there. When you tighten that screw down, you're going to tighten the screw on the sheathing and not on the wire. You won't get positive contact, and then you're going to have a problem. You're going to try to turn on your thermostat, it's not going to work. All right? Okay, so now it's all about folding all these wires back inside. And you know, the same thing is always, the rule is this. Pre-bend some S's in the wire so it can collapse, all right? And that is the best way to do it, all right? And get it all pushed back. Now, the sensor wire here, and let me just bring this out a little bit. You'll see that the box has a notch in it as far as the housing is concerned. So that's designed so that it can pass through without getting damaged. You want to just hold that in place till you're ready to install it. Here we go. Okay. So then you place your screws back in. Now, here's a tip for you. If you've lost the little mounting screws, those 632 1-inch, you can use drywall screws. They will work every time. Light switches, wall plugs, and thermostat housing. And then we just screw the bottom in. But we'll save that part until after we're done doing all of our sanding and painting. Time for the GFI. Now this one's awesome. It has a cute little night light, all right? And it basically has the test and reset switch. And you have options for installing. You can strip the wire and put it in the hole, which I hate. But it looks like that's the only option. I always like to wrap my wire around the screws, but this type of installation is really designed to keep the wire away from being exposed. I don't know. Yeah, we'll go with the way this is designed. Here we go. We got two options here. This is my line. Remember, if you remember the video that we did, the rough-in installation here, and of course, if you haven't seen that yet, we'll put a link in the description. I always bring my power in the top left of a box. It's my own personal habit. Lots of guys do the bottom left. Some guys don't have a habit. And I think that's probably a good thing to have. You'll see that on the back of these GFIs, they have a stripping gauge here, a little mark. Shows you how much cable should be exposed, all right? And it's that simple. And that looks like about a solid inch, yeah. All right? And so we'll just strip all of the wires first to 1 inch. And I know I'm not measuring every one of them, but when you've been in the business as long as I have, you know what the heck an inch looks like, right? The wire here needs to go around the screw. So we're going to take this tip, and we're going to create a nice little loop. Makes sense? Okay. Now, you always curl the wire in the direction that the screw will get tightened. Hook the back, pinch them together, and then you tighten it up. Now we're grounded. Now, just a word of warning here, okay? Make sure when you're working with the GFI that you identify the line and the load. And on this particular box, you really have to catch the light right to see it. And I'm gonna mark it. There's my line. Okay, that's my power coming in. If you get this wrong the first time and you don't wire it properly, the GFI function of this switch, it'll trip and it will never work again. That's the crazy thing about these. They're $15 to $30, and if you don't wire it right the first time and you turn the power on and it trips, you've blown something inside. It's like a safety mechanism, and you cannot use it again. And it'll drive you nuts. So, be smart, play safe, and make sure you wire this right the first time. So we have, one side has brass screws, and one side has steel screws. Now, if you want to try to remember how to do this properly all the time, a simple rule is this. Brass has a really soft metal. Soft metals expand and contract under heat. Electricity causes heat. So the white wire doesn't really conduct the power. All right? So it's going with the brass screw. Now, I don't know if that makes any sense scientifically speaking, but it's just a way that I remember it. There we go. Or you can always read the instructions, and that'll tell you which color goes on the metal screws as well. Now, that's the line. That's the wire coming in. Okay, and then this is the line coming out. Should be tight enough that the wires don't pull out. See that? That one's not tight enough yet. Inside the box, there's a little metal plate that's attached to the screw. It drops down. If you have it inverted the other way around, when you try to attach it, okay, the plate will fall, and then you'll put your wire on the wrong side of the plate. You tighten the screw and it'll slide right back out again. So when you're done, make sure you give them a pull and double check. Here, this is correct. Stick that in, and you'll have good compression. What I'm going to demonstrate here is, if you install this wrong, I might as well show everybody. Okay. I don't know if I have the ability to do that now, but let's put that in upside down. Okay. And then we'll tighten the screw. Ah, see? Major problem. Gravity is part of the installation process here. So make sure the screw is facing up when you're tightening down your wire. Then you get a good bond. Okay, and once you've got all your wires, line and load, put a bend in them so that they go up and down in the box. Okay. Okay. And then you'd simply line up your mounting screws. Now these ones are interesting, eh? It's quite frustrating. This is your opportunity to install it level. They do move left and right on the screws. So if the box is a little out of level, then you can fix it. There you go. It's as simple as that. Okay. And mount the plate. Now don't forget, if you're doing all this work on a permit, which you should be, and you call the inspector to come in and take a look at your finished work, make sure all your plates are installed with all of the screws. If they're not, you'll fail inspection. I know, but he's not going to hang around waiting for you to find all your switch covers and put them on. You'll have to book another appointment, and they might charge you another fee. So, word of warning, electrical's not done until all the access to the junction and the power has been covered up with a plate. Okay, we are so close I can taste it. Right, we've got all of our fixtures and all of our electrical and plumbing in. Now, we just got to take care of all of our last minute touch-ups, right? Always the last minute touch-ups. You can always tell people, don't get too worked up over making sure everything is perfect as you go, because inevitably, something's going to go wrong. Someone's going to bump a wall. Someone's going to have to cut open a wall to install the thermostat. And you're going to be doing some touch-ups last minute, right? That's why when you paint your bathroom, one coat is enough. Wait until the last day and everything is finished perfectly. Then you can worry about your second coat. All right, so I need this coat of mud. I got a couple other minor touch-ups to take care of. All right, I've got to paint the trim, and then I've got to do one more coat on the walls, and then we're ready to reveal it. Let's just do a quick recap. We've got our lights, we've got our fan, we've got our towel rod, we've got our vanity fixture, we've got our heated flooring in place, we have our GFI. That completes all of the finished installation. The only thing left to do now is put this circuit to the breaker. Wow, that'll be in another video. But if you want to see this bathroom renovation and all of the elements of the construction of it, then click the link right here, okay? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you have yet to do that, and hit the like button if you like getting this kind of content, and if you feel like we're giving any help to you at all. We'll see you again soon.